In this episode of the Five Petal podcast, I am sitting down with regenerative agriculture student Taurin McBride for a deep dive into the spiritual and practical intersections of motherhood, land stewardship, and healing. And we explore how the five petals of the well woman's rose mirror the principles of regenerative agriculture and nature's cyclical wisdom. Taurin brings her passion for clean water, nutrient-dense food, illuminating how mothers are the unsung underbelly of the wellness movement, quietly leading a revolution for rich soil, safe food, and thriving communities. Together, we also tackle the classist conditioning that suggests that wellness is a luxury rather than a birthright. And we explore how collective healing is possible when we reconnect with the earth and each other. Welcome to the Five Petal Podcast. I'm your host, Bridget Burcano, a mystic home, hearth, and parenting coach, here to help you come home to yourself through the five petals of the well woman's rose. Through interviews and reflections, we explore what it means to care for your whole self, spiritually, mentally, emotionally, physically, and relationally, so you can live with more clarity, self-trust, and rooted connection. Let's dive in. I am very pleased to introduce my new friend, Taurin.
Hey.
Hi. Yeah, we found each other on some crunchy Earth Mama Facebook groups and said, "Oh, we live on the same part of the ocean, the same body of water. Let's be friends." And yeah, we've just been connecting. And I asked Taurin to come chat on the Five Petal podcast about her passion, regenerative agriculture, and clean water for the people. Would you like to introduce yourself in your own words?
Yeah, sure. Thank you for having me. First and foremost, I really love connecting with like-minded women and having this conversation about like how we can steward the earth and ourselves and our bodies and our family and just like continue on that. So thank you for welcoming me into your container. First and foremost, I live in Washington State. I was raised pretty much my teenage years, high school, a little bit of middle school, and young adult years in California, and just retransplanted back to my home state, Washington. Kind of had to get out of that desertification experience down there with wildfires and whatnot. I found my passion for regenerative organic agriculture through a documentary, which is crazy. A movie changed my life. It's called Kiss the Ground. And now I'm finishing up my 4-year degree in regenerative organic agriculture. And that will be done at the end of this year. And the dream job, the things that I'm going for right now is to be a certifier and educator on the Regenerative Organic Alliance. So that's a mouthful. So I'm probably just going to say ROA, and that's going to be Regenerative Organic Agriculture or Regenerative Organic Alliance, certifier and educator with them. And then just in the past year, I've really dived into water, and water has been my huge focus. Food and water, we all need it. We all got to eat. We all got to drink. And I kind of just have this like heart in me that is drawn towards stewarding the earth and like having people have health and vitality and thriving. So that's me. Just a little bit about my passions and where I come from.
Thank you. Awesome. It's so exciting that you're almost done with your degree, ready to unleash.
It's been a long time coming. I was like looking at it. I was like, I've only been in school for 3 years and I'm graduating at the end.
What's your day-to-day life like? Just to presence you
man.
as a human. What you got going on?
So I am in the scope of finishing college. I'll be done at the end of the year. And then I have a 4-year-old daughter. Anybody who has kids can know what that's like. And then I work 2 days a week And then I also am doing my water business, which I do online, but I am doing, as I build more connections, I'm doing more in-person events. Basically, like I show up, I serve the water, and I educate about like what filtration is and electrolyte reduced water. So I'm pretty busy. I actually just took on an internship with Pierce Conservation District, where I'll be doing what they call like gleans. It's basically going and harvesting extra produce and giving them to like families in need or low income families, and also helping them like host events as a volunteer. So I'll be doing that internship probably 2-3 days a week in the morning for about 4 hours. So the schedule is to the max, and I'm just working on transitioning out of my entry level job that doesn't have anything to do with my degree into a career field that is with my degree, and building up that experience and really getting in with the community. Because what I'm coming to find out is, as I'm making this transition, is that I can go places and get opportunities, but I really want to stay within my community, Pierce County or like surrounding counties, and make an impact here. And so just weaving my way in slowly but surely, really.
That's so beautiful and
Mm-hmm.
amazing and impressive. The
It's a
schedule
lot.
is right. Would you say you're an extrovert?
I like connection. I mean, yes, yeah, probably. Most of the time. It
Yeah.
depends. I feel like us women we go through like 4 different phases, so it's like, I don't know, what day is it?
Right. No, I
Really,
hear
but
you.
yes,
Yeah,
I do thrive on connecting with people and just human connection in general and being out there. I can be a little shy, but like I said, depends on the mood.
sure. Yeah. Well, awesome. Yeah, I just wanted people to get a sense of like who you
Mm-hmm.
are, what, the colors of your life. Like,
Mm-hmm.
yeah. So, thank you. Great. So we were planning on talking all about regenerative agriculture. That's kind of what I prepared Lauren for. And she was all geared up for that. And then I remembered, oh, wait, I need like continuity with my
Mm-hmm.
whole show. And I need to talk about
Mm-hmm.
the five petals of the Well Woman's Rose. So Torrin has generously agreed to apply this framework to the topic at the last second.
Mm-hmm.
So thank you for just rolling with it. It
I think it'll integrate seamlessly. I
really
really do.
will. Yeah, it's not a
It,
stretch. I mean, it's like I know why I think regenerative agriculture
yeah.
is applicable to,
Mm-hmm.
to this whole theme, but maybe my audience doesn't. So that's why I need
Mm-hmm.
to explain it in this way.
Yeah. The brief overview of your five petals, I think it's applicable to all aspects of life. It's just like no matter what you're doing, um, pursuing or going through at that time, it's like you can tap in with those five petals, just like my brief overview. Like they just mend with life. That's why they're five petals.
Yeah, totally. Okay, yeah, and you are such a supercharged,
Hmm.
like you are in action,
Yeah.
like, I think of somebody who's like suffering with self-abandonment and codependency issues, and that could cause a person to feel really disconnected from their purpose.
Yeah.
And I'm hearing like you are just on fire.
Hmm.
And you are very connected. I've seen you with your daughter. It seems like you're really like on the same page
Yeah.
with your husband and your
Yeah.
family, and you're on fire, Taurin. And so it's nice to hear from somebody like you, how you bring these petals into your life and how you're just alive with them and in relationship with them. And I know that regenerative agriculture is such a soul calling
Hmm.
for you. So I'd really like to just talk about them in that way. The petals are physical, emotional, mental, relational, and spiritual. I can just kick us off. I'm thinking of the physical petal, and it's like it's so
Hmm.
obvious to me that I mean, maybe you could talk about like the nutrient density that you can
Hmm.
get with sustainable agriculture, and how it honors the physical world so much more than the conventional means that we have of getting most of our food in this country. Could you talk about that?
Yeah, definitely. I want to just like acknowledge that the physical is such like a realm translator. I don't even know how to describe it. It's our intuition, it's our compass, it's something that like guides us to what's going on like emotionally also with inside of us, and it is like the cornerstone it's the cornerstone to how we thrive and survive, like how we actually like physically operate, but then it's also how we like emotionally connect and feel with the world around us. So as far as like regenerative agriculture is all about carbon sequestration, and what it really comes down to is agriculture took off in the war times and the industrial complex times when those things were happening, and the main purpose was to just produce a bunch of food as quick as possible for our armies. And so we're like pumping out grains or pumping out a bunch of food, and it really just got to a point where we're depleting the soil through monocropping. So the difference between organic and regenerative. So organic obviously is going to be a better option than conventional, but what organic really is organic is avoidance. It's like we're not going to put as many chemicals on. We're going to only use certain natural, like naturally derived sprays. They still spray, it's just things that are not synthetic, not chemically produced. So it's basically the same thing with less chemical input, because there's still the monocropping, there's still like depleting the soil, there's still leaching and runoff. You can see I mean, when it comes to like animals and stuff, organic agriculture is simply like they're fed organic feed. Doesn't mean they're out in pasture. It doesn't mean they ever seen grass before. It literally just means that they can be like kept in a warehouse with access to like a concrete patio where they're fed organic feed. So when it comes to regenerative agriculture and like the physical aspects of it, we're talking about soil biodiversity and we're talking about soil structure. And so really harnessing like that microbial life and building biodiversity in our soil. And so the reason why this is really important, like what's physically going on in our world with pollution and all the carbon in our atmosphere, we're having a tremendous amount of carbon output, but we're not sequestering it back into our ground, because that's what plants do. They take the carbon and they put it back into their roots, into the ground. And so with organic and just conventional monoculture, the ground is always being tilled and disturbed. It's being completely pulled of the same nutrients. And so it's really a matter of how can we diversify this? How can we keep roots in the ground? How can we make the soil stronger and stick together to reduce leaching and runoff and work with nature in a way that physically, in the long run, once you go through the transition process, you're actually probably going to be doing less work on your regenerative farm with less inputs than you would a conventional thing that's consistently going to have you be battling things because you're not working with nature and be adding inputs because the soil is dead. When it comes to nutrient dense food, and there's plenty of science on this, our food is radically depleting in nutrient density. And so we're having a literal like hunger. It's like a
Hidden
literal
hunger.
famine, but yet we're it's like we're eating but we're hungry. We don't have the nutrients in us. And so there's that loss of nutrient dense food. And when you do regenerative agriculture, you're getting way more nutrition into the plants because the soil biodiversity informs like what the fruit is going to produce. This is a relationship. The same relationship with your gut and your brain is the same with the plant and the soil. It's that communication and it's that nourishing each other. So healthier land obviously is going to mean healthier food and healthier people. And that's just the correlation between it. And so industrial ag was good for what it needed to be good for in that time. And now we need to transition more to of a sustainable thing that actually nourishes us.
Thank you so much for that explanation. That was wonderful. Just like crash course in like what we're talking about. When they started pumping this food out, there were more nutrients in the soil, so it
Yeah.
was better food at that time.
Yeah.
And yeah, now we have a new problem that we need to address, which is
Yeah.
nutrients in the soil.
Yeah.
And the runoff, even from organic farming, right? It still creates runoff into the stream.
Leaching, yeah.
Leaching.
Yep.
Yeah, and leaching means too much water moving through the soil and carrying the nutrients away. Is that
Washington, where I'm at, we have a lot of like sandy loam. We get a lot of rain, so we have a lot of drainage. Certain parts you stick it together and it just turns to sand. Certain parts you stick it together and it has a good sit. So the more the soil can stick together, which is also helped by roots, the more it's going to retain the water and not leach the things that can get into our waterways and affect all the fish and biodiversity and like our wildlife here. So
great rundown? That was how regenerative agriculture nourishes the physical petal of a well woman's rose.
yeah.
And then, so the next one we could go to is maybe emotional. What is your
Oh man.
emotional connection with this?
So I'm not a vegetarian by any means, but I do believe in the karmic energy in the food that you're eating, especially when we're talking about animal products here. So that's a big thing. And as far as the connection to the earth and like taking care of the soil, I mean, if you've lived anywhere where you've seen people's homes burnt down from a place that used to be like a luxurious water place and now it's turning into a desert, you start to realize, okay, there's something that's going on here, something that we're doing. A lot of people tend to think it's like, oh, it's the cars we drive. And I have some fun facts around that as far as regenerative agriculture. I mean, if all of the cropland was switched to, or all of the pasture land was switched to regenerative organic agriculture, we would sequester more carbon than we output on a yearly basis, which is not really what you want to do. You need carbon in the atmosphere, and everybody could drive 10 cars fully operated and be pumping them with oil. You could, and if they switched to pasture land, would sequester all of the carbon we output. Cropland on top of that, we'd sequester 120 something percent of the carbon we output on a yearly basis. And so really what it comes down to me is like the emotional, like, okay, this isn't necessarily like a lack of resources or anything. This is just a lack of education. And so that's where like my emotion comes in. It's like, okay, well, I have a child, or I know somebody that has a child, and I actually like care about animals, and I care about myself, and I care about the people that I love. And I don't really know how to, like, I like to say I was just born this way, but it's kind of something that just evolved in me because I wasn't always into regenerative agriculture or eating organic or things like that. But when you have a love for beings on this earth and this earth, if you not even do a deep dive, just start skimming the surface and get some facts, you see that there's a need for change. And the change is actually happening at a drastic rate, which is amazing. That's why Regenerative Organic Alliance is just taking off and blown up. And that's why it's backed by like some of the most amazing companies like Dr. Bronner's and Patagonia. And they're like, we are the foundings of these things. Rodall Institute and the Rockefellers funding it. It's like, why are the Rockefellers funding this? Oh, because it's the future, right? So I think I'm really not really into like the fear mongering, but as far as like I don't know how else to explain it besides if you either care or you don't. And I don't know how else to explain it because I just care about my health, my daughter's health. And I don't want to say conspiracy or anything like that, but I know that our education system, our medical system, a lot of these systems are built to not have us thrive. The education system is built on an industrial complex to form employees. The medical system is highly funded by the pharmaceuticals, which profit off of people being sick and taking their medicine. So it's like when you can zoom out, see the big picture, maybe nerd out, do a little deep dive, get into your spiritualness and look at the earth. I mean, it's pretty in your face. And so some people have an interest in that and some people don't, and that's fine. And I have an interest in it, and like I said in the beginning, we all have to eat, we all have to drink. So if I'm going to make a living and do something with my life that feels good and supports me, why don't it be something that everybody needs and that makes the world a more beautiful place? And I also just really like to eat food, so
Yeah, wow. So you said a lot there. And we're talking about so emotionally,
yeah.
this career choice is very fulfilling to you,
Yeah.
because you care. I mean, like this society that we have now, it's like there are a lot of people who are just trying to get by,
Yeah.
and I understand that, and I have a lot of compassion for that.
Yeah.
I'm really glad that there are people like you who are like, let me see like how I can be of like the most service that my skills and interests will allow.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's how I see it. Yeah. So I guess for me, I want to talk about the emotional connection that I find to the regenerative
Yeah.
rhythms.
Yeah.
Um, you know, just the rhythms of the season,
Yeah.
paying attention to what a plant naturally does. Um, winter is so important. Like
Yeah.
rest,
Mm-hmm.
time to compost, have the
Mm-hmm.
darker times to really rest and freeze over, shed back,
Mm-hmm.
and then come forth in the spring with like this renewed energy, and then the buoyancy, the starting point, and then the high summertime of like robust fruiting and
Yeah.
harvest, and then it goes back down again.
Yeah.
Um, and this is something that our bodies do, our emotions do, our uterus does,
Mm-hmm.
the moon does. It's all just so connected with the seasons. And why shouldn't our food follow the same rhythm?
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, imagine you or the person that you're getting food from. Imagine their beautiful perennial garden that just flourishes through spring and summer, producing asparagus and all sorts of beautiful edible perennial plants, and then it dying back in the winter and it coming back without them having to do anything. And imagine their silvopasture and their agroforestry where they have a food forest and a variety of different trees, and that's where they um, graze their livestock, their goats, their cows, and things, and a variety of like shrubs to bushes to trees that are perennials and are constantly producing fruit, and those nourishing the animals there. It's like we can cultivate these ecosystems that cycle within the seasons and support themselves. And so we can get into like permaculture design. You can get into all sorts of things that are building these systems that fuel each other and support each other simultaneously. And that comes back to, again, if we're being in season and we're being in rhythm, the last thing we want to be doing is trying to force something to produce, force
Right.
something to be fruitful.
Which is, like the reason that you can get tomatoes in January.
Right. Right. Yeah. You gotta pick them down in South America somewhere, get when they're green, gas them, and send them up here. Like, this doesn't have to be a struggle. Like, I hear so much about farmers struggling through these seasons and dealing with crazy weather and dealing with plants and pests and things like that. So how do we work with the rhythms of nature to cultivate this ecosystem that nurtures itself through the seasons,
Mm-hmm.
with minimal disturbance? And so
Right.
there's ways to go about it, and transition periods are long. Trying to take a conventional farm to something like regenerative organic, it's a 3 to 5 year transition period. Partially because you're getting bioremediation. You're taking all the nasty stuff out of the soil with plants, and then you're re-neutralizing it. And it's those seasons that are going to build up. That's what it's all about. The seasons of nature, and working within those cycles, and understanding the plants, particularly in your area, and also the pests in your area, and creating an
Right.
ecosystem that has supported each other.
Yeah, and like what you're describing with these farming practices, and you're saying
Mm-hmm.
like, yeah, and it could take 3 to 4 years to transition from a conventional method to a regenerative method,
Yeah.
and it has to do with like removing some unnatural things and then
Yeah.
bringing in the rhythms a little bit more. This
Mhm.
reminds me of a therapeutic process of,
Why do you think I
recovery.
love it so much?
Yeah, well, like recovering
Like,
from trauma, because it's like we're getting into, like, I love that you're so passionate about like the actual, like, this is
mhm.
what I'm gonna do when I go help the farmers. And
Yeah.
also I don't think that my audience, I mean, that would be great if my audience was made of farmers, but I want I want to bring it back to probably other people and how you can use this for, as an allegory to your own like emotional process
Yeah.
of no longer denying the natural rhythms of your body.
I mean, just to relate it to my entrepreneur journey, which incorporates the agriculture and the water. Okay, not like in my personal experience, and there is nothing more like spiritual and self-development than doing something like gardening or entrepreneur or whatever that it is that you're going for, because that's what happens. You start at the root foundation where you're like, okay, what's going on here? Because really, when we're in business or working with nature or doing these things, any resistance that we meet up is something that's within us. And so what I have realized through all of this, being the very, I don't like to use the term busy because I don't like to play that narrative into my life because I have enough space for it all, is to really, it's a nervous system recalibration, and that's the foundation. I think it's like easy to get excited and jumpstart into things and go for it, and then we realize, okay, like, why isn't this working? Or we have like emotional things come up, and I'm saying this in relation to like my high ticket sales, my high ticket offers, and I'm selling thousands of dollars a package to people, and it's like, feelings come up that are my reflection of what's going on inside of me that I need to heal. And that's the same thing that ties into with the agriculture. It's like, okay, like, what's really going on here at the root, at the soil, at the base, so we can create these ecosystems that are going to help us thrive. So it really is like a full nourishment. And I love people, and I pride myself on being one of these people that we hear words, but we can interpret how it applies to our own being, whether that's internal, external, whatever. It's like listening to a song, and like the words are what they are, but you're interpreting this message internally with something that's going on with you. And so really being able to pick and choose what serves you and interpret it. Um, yeah, there's a lot there, a lot to unpack.
Pick and choose the elements of nature that you're working with and interpret those with your own being.
Yeah, I mean, like, oh man, the best way I can give an example of this. Um, so I love the Grateful Dead. I love listening to their music. And I took my dad to one of the concerts, and we were hanging out, and he's like, all these songs are about women. And I'm like, no, like, maybe to you, maybe that's what you're interpreting. But when Jerry's sitting there singing about Althea, telling her what she's telling him, I'm like, this is a message of like looking in the mirror and talking to yourself and realizing that what you do to others is what you do to yourself. And so being able to realize that I didn't like, it's a matter of like self-reflection, and this one of the hardest things, and it will never end, is like, how can we cultivate an ecosystem where we thrive? And that starts like inside of us and inside of the soil and inside like how we nourish our bodies and our mind. And so it's a deep thing.
What is really here? And then, like, not trying to overproduce and over function,
Yeah.
year round in a way that's not natural.
I was just talking with my mentor, and I need to process and work through these things, but I'm like me, I'm ambitious, I'm doing, but I'm like, I need to like melt time so I can pull back and like unveil what's in me to be of better service.
Should we move on to the spiritual petal
Yeah.
then?
Let's send it. Let's go.
Yeah, so spirituality, I
Mhm.
mean, we're talking about just cutting through to the essence,
Yeah.
right? You were just talking about that, how like the past, present, and future,
Yeah.
it all is available in the present.
Yeah. And so when it comes to like spirituality and regenerative agriculture and water, I mean, that starts with where I started as far as our body is like this crazy compass vessel, right? Like we can walk into a situation and immediately get anxiety. We can walk into a situation and our hands get clammy. We can walk into a situation and just be like, this is fun and happy and feeling good. And our body isn't informing us on like what we're experiencing like spiritually and emotionally. This like this is your soul or whatever you want to call it, you know, like, ooh, I like this, or ooh, this is kind of pushing me, or ooh, like, and so my main thing is like, how can your body inform you or you be in tune with your body if you're malnourished and dehydrated? Water and hydration is so connected to our nervous system regulation and the way our organs function, like the gut brain connection, all that stuff informs the way we feel, which informs the way we act. So, really, to me, the foundation of spirituality and like being in tune with whatever it is, if you identify with God, spirit, universe. I identify with all of them. Like I just recently started studying Jesus. And I'm like, that guy's pretty cool, but like I'm not like he's the only one. But like I think this guy is really cool, and I like also think this is really cool. And I'm like, there's so many Christ consciousnesses. This is wild. And so it's like the nervous system in our body is the portal to the spiritual realm. I really think the foundation to like having a thriving life is having a nourished body, so then we can be more in tune with our how we feel. So it's all like all your five petals are so intertwined with like the physical and then the emotional and spiritual. It's like it's like the domino effect. It's one to the other and then back and forth, and it's like they all just mend together. And so
Yeah, and they
spirituality,
connect in the
yeah, in the center, yes, exactly. It's like, yeah. So spirituality for me has like it's been ever evolving, and I think that I'm more tuned in when I'm actually hydrated and when I'm actually nourished. Um, there's energetics to food. I mean, there's energetics to water. That's like undeniable. So it's really,
right. I'm just thinking of my son. Like
yeah.
he loves cooking shows, and he was
Uh-huh.
watching this like an old Italian woman explaining pasta making.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
she said, you don't, and he's repeated this so many times, and I just love it. She's like, we don't use metal on the pasta. We don't use a
Yeah.
machine. We use our hands because
Yeah.
the first tool is the heart, and we put our
Yeah.
love through our hand into the pasta. And this is the only way.
That is
And
so good. I love that.
like, really, which one would you want to eat for the rest of your life? Like the love
I'm gonna eat that.
pasta
I'm gonna eat
or
that hand pasta.
like,
Some people would be like, ew, hands, I'm like, give me the hands.
yeah,
Put your
yeah,
hands in my pasta, please.
yeah. And I just remember picky eaters, like, oh, or like I was worried about what my kid was eating and if he was
Mm-hmm.
getting enough and too much of this, none of that, whatever, like that the toddler problem
Yeah,
of like,
I got
crunching.
one.
Yeah, toddler food drama. And his teacher, I was talking to his teacher about it. She was like a Waldorf
Mhm.
educator, so with like decades of experience, and her kids were as old as me. I was asking her about it, and she said, well, the first thing you feed your children is love.
Mhm.
And I held on to that, like, okay, like love first, like beyond like the material food, like
Mhm.
love first. That's the most important. It's going to help them digest whatever they're eating
Yeah.
best if it's a calm environment and it's given with love.
Yeah.
So then, yeah, just comparing like a regenerative farm to a conventional farm and the
Oh yeah.
energetics each.
Yeah. A big disconnect there. I mean,
Huge disconnect.
you're looking at machinery and literal dead soil and chemical inputs compared to people that have this like energetic connection to the earth. And the only reason they're doing it is to produce quality food for your body to digest. And they're doing that because they love it, and they probably love you, and they love this food, which is weird to say, like, well, a stranger loves me. I mean, I don't think any other regenerative farmer is going to be doing it unless they love humans and they want them to have the best, right? So it's
Well, and
like,
love the earth and love the animals and love themselves to
yeah,
be working in such a healthy way. I mean, there's a lot of love that goes into it.
it's the foundation. It's like that for the experiment, the guys, like, you think it's Harishimoto or something, he did the water experiment where he had like monks, or he had people like curse it and speak hate into it, and he had people bless it. And you're like looking at water structures that are like beautiful fractal snowflakes, from the blessings of the monks to ones that are like crazy and sporadic and sharp that were like spoke hate into. And it's the same thing with like the energetics of your food and in your soil.
I'm sorry, I need to bring this up because I kept
Yeah.
thinking of it and I don't want to let it go. I want to talk about existential dread and lack and like trust issues. And the big argument that I hear in support of conventional farming is that we have so many people, we gotta feed them all.
Yeah.
And so we need this practice to feed all the people like that. And that's what it's for. That's the big story behind it. Like, oh yeah, it pumps out food and it kills the pests
Of
off.
people that are hungry still.
Right? Well, do that. Like, I want to hear from you about like the reality of like how much a regenerative farm can actually yield. Like, will there be enough if we allow the earth and the seasons to do their thing?
Yep. So I sent you the Rodall papers, and I highly suggest everybody go check those out. You search Rodall Institute in the white papers. There's 3. One is titled Power the Plate by Rodall Institute. Rodall Institute is the leading college for regenerative organic agriculture, funded by the 1% of the world. And they're coming out with these white papers. They're showing that, first off, regenerative produces more yield, and more nutrient dense food. And so when you're having, we can just relate this to livestock too. So when you're switching to regenerative, you're having higher yields and you're producing more food. Like, these are little facts and research done by science labs, leading institutes. Like, it's not up for debate. It's not really up for question. Like, if it's sustainable, it's more sustainable than what we're doing, especially when, what was the woman's name? I wrote it down. The United Nations came out, and this was in 2014, and a lot of people had a lot of stuff to say about this. She came out and said that we have 60 harvests left of our topsoil. That's less than my lifetime. United Nations have come out, and there's many scientists that are backing this, saying that we literally have 60 harvests left because of the way soil is being depleted. And so I'm not a doomsday person. I don't really like to go deep into like the climate change and, oh my God, we're going to die, because we're not, because we have systems in place. I mean, they're growing lab meat and all sorts of crazy stuff, and we have regenerative ag. But the only reason, so when we're talking about systems here, and this brings me back into our school, this brings me back into our medical, we're talking about conventional agriculture. Like, who has their hand in that pocket? And so the best tip that I can ever give anybody when it comes to breaking down a system, and anybody who is trying to discredit or disregard something that like regenerative agriculture, is to follow the money. Literally follow the money. That's the best thing I can say about that. There's proof, and it's making the transition. I mean, why else would it be funded by major families? Why else would the most epic brands and companies be backing this? Why are millions of acres being converted as we speak? So it's a matter of realizing that change is uncomfortable. When you're reflecting on yourself, it's uncomfortable. When you're thinking about changing your food and how to shop in the grocery store, it's uncomfortable. It's all uncomfortable. And our minds naturally want to go on the path of least resistance. So when it comes to just follow the money, people that are more supportive of conventional versus regenerative are probably the ones giving out loans to farmers so they can buy pesticides and have their, like, all the things that they need to input into their farm because it's depleted and dead. That's my, if you're looking at any system, your school system, your medical system, our agriculture system, our textile system, just follow the money. And then you can see, and I'm not going to call it propaganda, but you can see the influence. You can see who's saying what and why they're saying it. And this is just critical thinking. This is not just like going with the flow or listening to what they say. I feel like in this day and age, I'm so happy that there's a vast majority people questioning what they're seeing, because that's the key. Question and follow the money and make up your own conclusions.
The food, and yeah, the food is so insidious too. And it's like, yeah, if you're eating food that leaves you hungry and anxious, what kind of judgment
And
does
sick.
that leave the person with? Yeah, sick.
I mean, how many times can you eat glyphosate or high fructose corn syrup and develop diabetes or autoimmune disorders, all sorts of crazy stuff? I mean, don't get me wrong, there's genealogy, but that's because we've been eating this for 70 years now. So it's deep. It's deep into our body. It's deep into our bloodline, into our genes, and that's a huge influence. Not only does like we have the epigenetics, like we have the ability to influence our genes, but then also like what are we nourishing ourselves with? You can literally alter the way your genes are expressed with how you feel. This is epigenetics, which is crazy. We have so much crazy stuff coming out. Epigenetics, quantum physics, freaking regenerative agriculture, like therapeutic water. Like what is okay, so if somebody's got a problem with that, I mean, fine, be old in the way. I'm not really in the job, like I'm not in the practice of convincing. I'm ready for open ears, you know.
Right. Well, I think a lot of people just don't know.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. That's why I'm like, hey.
Right. No, that's great. And that's why we're here. Like this is, and it gives a whole
Yeah.
it makes it more personal. What I'm trying to do with this conversation is make it
Yeah.
very personal
Yeah.
as opposed to something out
Yeah.
there that like, oh, whatever, it doesn't matter. It's just a tomato or it's just an egg. I'll eat it, I'm fine. But it's like
Mhm.
this it really brings it in to the personal connection.
If they want to, I recommend anybody to go look up Kiss the Ground. It's a documentary. Woody Harrelson. I love that actor. He narrates it. It's amazing. They help farmers transition, and it's so cool to watch the process.
Let's talk about mindset, the
Yeah.
mental pedal
Yeah.
of the Well Woman's Rose and how it
Mhm.
relates to regenerative agriculture,
Yeah.
um,
I
or
mean,
how regenerative agriculture can feed the mindset and what sort of mindset will help us transition into this new way
yeah. I mean,
place to move.
we are regenerative beings, especially women. I mean, we grow humans in us. Um, humans in general are regenerate. We have new cells every so years. We're detoxing, rebuilding. Our body has the power to form homeostasis. We are literal like regenerating torus fields of pure magic. It's crazy. Um, when it comes to being a like regenerative agriculture and how that can fill your mindset, I feel like there's a lot of stagnation in our world, and maybe that's kind of why some people may offset new things or change in things is a little uncomfortable. But when it comes to our mindset and like how we think, like that's deep programming. That goes deep into how we're raised, how our grandparents were raised, our social life. As humans, we're very social beings. Like we have this crazy inclination that we can't resist to fit in with the tribe. So whatever tribe that is that you're around, you will form to that because that is like you need to belong. It's in our DNA to do these things. And the best way I can relate it to agriculture is the same way as, let me try and get this straight. The disconnect for me personally that has been a crazy alignment is my brain informing my body, when I really think my body should be informing my brain. So, like, for example, past trauma experiences and relationships coming up in my head and informing my body how I should feel. But my actual body is in a physically safe relationship in a safe place right now, and it knows that I'm safe, but it's like these programmings, this mindset, these things in my head altering the way I feel here, which is going to affect everything, because our physical body is a compass for like how we act in situations. Like it's uncontrollable. You get clammy or you're nervous, you do whatever. So it's like our mindset is very intertwined. Our body should be informing it, and so not our like past traumas. And so we have like this odd inclination to hold on to the past, and that's where it was like brought up again, like our present can rewrite the past, making it better. And so when it comes to regenerative agriculture, it's just about nourishing the body. And that's really like the most thing that I say is very often is water and food. It's the foundation of your like wellness, of your holistic wellness, of all five petals. It's like how you're nourished, and then how you can transmute once you're nourished. Because we are energy bodies. We have every one of our cells has mitochondria that is firing energy, that is full of water. So like what water is charging it? How is that influencing our mindset? How is that influencing how we perceive the world? Are we safe? Are we not? So it's the nervous system connection to our mindset is profound. And the nervous system connection to our nutrition and how it's influenced is crazy. I mean, why are they talking about food dyes and kid behavior if food wouldn't inform how we act? And that's highly based on our nervous system.
Right.
So it's like
100%. Yeah.
it's the foundation, and it interconnects all core aspects of what you speak on. And so I could probably talk about it forever about how the gut and our health inform the way we feel, and that informs the way that we act, and that informs our programming in our mind of, do we feel safe? Are we expressed? Are we insecure? Are we pulling back? Are we leaning in? Like, what are we doing? Um
So,
and
okay, yeah, no, no, totally. Yeah, it's health, physical health helps
Mhm.
mental health.
Mhm.
Yeah, absolutely. And then, you know, we do have these brains though, and one way of
Yeah.
putting the brain in the correct stream is like holding on to a supportive belief.
Yeah.
And I would like to ask you, what are some supportive beliefs? Because you are like on
Mhm.
the cusp, you're coming up like regenerative agriculture, it's being discussed in the White House, like
Mhm.
finally, you
Finally.
know?
Mhm.
And
I know, but I'm like over here like talk, 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 talk. You guys, you better do something about it. You move your
right,
mouth
well,
all
and
you
you're
want,
doing
but you don't
you're
do something.
well, Taurin, you are boots on the ground. You're making sure it happens. It's
Yeah.
like you're here, you're getting involved with the community, with the gleaners, with, getting certified so you can really help farmers
Yeah.
transition. Like you are doing the work that
Yeah.
people are talking about. So I would love to hear, because, it can look so overwhelming. It's like, yeah, you don't have that sort of power to say like,
Yeah.
okay, from now on, we're transitioning all farms to regenerative agriculture. Like you don't have that
Yeah.
power. You're just doing the work of it. So that could be very overwhelming. And I think that a
Yeah.
lot of people can relate to this feeling of, we could drop into helplessness. Like
Yeah.
knowing what would help, knowing what needs to be done,
Yeah.
knowing the huge forces at play that are preventing positive change.
Yeah.
And here you are showing up and doing the work. So, what belief is driving that for you?
We need a lot of people doing a little bit and not everybody doing it perfectly. It's really what it comes down to. I'm like, like, there's probably something wrapped in plastic in my house, some food. I'm not perfect. It's definitely all organic because I'm an organic freak, and it's not all regenerative because that's like few and far between. Is like getting regenerative into stores and into people's plates and on farms is still a huge mission. Like there's a huge gap between like what's regeneratively offered in the store, what's organically offered in the store, and what's conventionally offered in the store. So we need a lot of people doing a little bit. Not anybody worrying about perfection. Perfectionism is something that has held me back in so many aspects of my life that it's like the overwhelm of like what's going on in the bigger powers is like you realize like that quote. We need everybody doing a little bit, not perfection. You can vote with your food, you vote with your plate, you vote with what you put on it. And what we're doing right here, informing, communicating, conversating, that's like the biggest key. I think ever since like COVID happened and stuff, people are like so much more distance from each other and don't talk to each other. So realizing that within our community, we probably have more resources than we can imagine. We just need to talk to people. And they wrote the power of the plate is that paper just goes deep into this of how you can make an impact with literally the meal that you're eating. And it's not like it's a collective consciousness thing. It's not up to one person. So like I'm not perfect and I'm not doing it all. This is a collective consciousness and a collective effort, and we all just need everybody doing like 1% better every
Well,
day.
I love this. I love this concept of like, perfection holding you back. Like
Uh-huh.
that's huge. That really does
It's a
hold a lot.
worthy thing. You're like, I have to do it to this T, otherwise I'm not worthy of it, or I'm like I can't show up and do this because I'm not equipped, or which is deep programming. I mean, I was perfection for a long time, trying to, and that cause you to fucking crash and burn hard. So
Tell me more about how perfection has held you back. Because I mean, I there is a sort of like elitism
yeah,
with the crunchiness,
yeah,
like that it is
yeah.
it,
Those people suck.
it's such a huge turnoff to me.
That's part of the reason why I'm turned off from a lot of things. That's why I'm like Jesus is cool, but I don't do organized religion. That's why I'm like I think, local voting and things like that is cool, but I don't really like big stuff. Like, I don't know. It's why it's like there's too much judgment and like having to be held to a certain standard when it's really all just like a bunch. So what other people do and say is a projection of their own reality. Okay, first and foremost. So if somebody is bashing you for not have like being completely not being completely crunchy mom or something like that because you go to Starbucks or you take your kid to the sprinkler playground, which I don't go to Starbucks, but I take my kid to the sprinkler playground. Like, this is a projection of their own insecurities, okay? So just realize that, like, deflect, sorry, bud, like, that I don't have a problem with this, and my kid is healthy, so you got a problem with it? You got your problem. That's your problem. That's not my problem. Like, and just realizing that to deflect it. And, was you were asking about perfectionism and basically standards. I don't know, that's just mean people stuff. I mean, that's not to anybody with compassion. And I think it's like you said, the classism or the elitist. It's about really, I wrote something down about this, and I don't know where I wrote it down because I was like, how do I approach this in the most empathetic way? Because that's really what it has to be when we're talking about like organic and regenerative and eating better and drinking better. You have to be empathetic to the certain situations. But it's really about resourcefulness and knowing, you know, not necessarily just how to get the biggest bang for your buck, but like how to do your best, to talking to community. And if it comes to people that are judgmental or things like this isn't this isn't a matter of being perfect. This isn't a matter of doing it right. This is just a matter of community and doing the best that you can. And so your best is always going to change. Your best is going to change from your worst to your, when you're healthy, to your sick. Like, these are the 4 agreements. What others do and say is a projection of their own reality. Always do your best. Your best is going to differ between health and sickness. Always use your words to speak in the direction of truth and love. Don't make assumptions. Find courage to ask questions. Like, and that's really like, if just disregard anybody that can't even attempt to understand these things. Empathy is the most powerful thing. One of my mentors says that sociology is more powerful than the psychology. So when we get together in a social group and we're like connecting and creating this bond and being resourceful and leaning on each other, like, those people are not social that are judging you for not being perfect or judging you for doing something they think you shouldn't be doing. And they're only projecting their own internal reality, which is a sad insight to what's going on with them. And that's the best way to like detach. This is how you avoid needless suffering, is to be like, okay, that's not even me. Because like what is being projected on me is like, so, and that's even something that comes up with myself that I deal with a lot. I'm like, okay, what am I projecting? What am I doing? And this is the self-reflection that taps back into mindset, that taps back into our physical well-being, our nervous system, self-development, all this stuff. Anyone can start to buy some things organic, some things regenerative, can start reducing their plastic, can actually learn how to recycle, can actually, I mean, we have a farm bill that's it's like $470 something billion that go towards our food system here in the United States. Like 73% of that goes to food stamps and WIC. Well, at the farmers market, they double your money. As here in Washington, Safeway, they've been double for every $10 you spend on food stamps and produce, they give you $10. It's crazy. So we have systems in place where it's like, this isn't for somebody that makes a bunch of money. My family probably makes about $4,000 a month, and we figure it out. We're doing it. Like, we're mending, and that's happening. So there's something that wants to make us like detach or shrink, but like literally anybody who's not supportive or just disregarding or down talking what your dreams are, your aspirations, your goals to eat better, like, bye. Because it just really doesn't mean much. So
Yeah. Echoing what you
yeah,
say, it takes a lot of people doing a little bit.
yeah, it's not about all of us doing it right. If that was the case, we'd be doomed. We're human. None of us would do it right.
Yeah, and you want to talk about diversity. That's true diversity, is everybody
Yeah.
doing a little bit. And like,
Mm-hmm.
yeah, if one behavior taken to an extreme can cause an imbalance, but if everybody is just doing a little bit of what they can in their own way,
Yeah.
that sounds like an ecosystem.
No, that's exactly why I had like burnout in my business, because I was being perfectionist about what I was sharing, about how I was messaging people, about how I was talking to people, and took so much planning and being like, okay, well, this person says to do it this way, and this person says to do it this way, and like this person says this do it this way, and I think I should like do it this way, and it's like, okay, what feels good to me and what is going to serve myself and whatever it is that I'm trying to serve right now. Whether that's a person or the system, whatever, like, what's the best way that feels good, that's going to bring the most value, that's going to give the most value. And really, this is like, people can grind and hustle and work hard their way to success, to being millionaires and multi-billionaire people. The vast majority of them are very unhappy. So the best thing that you can do is like learn how to do the little things that you're doing very happily. I mean, life is worth living and it's worth enjoying. And so if you're like, oh, I want to maybe start eating organic, like maybe you're like, okay, I'm gonna buy either grass-fed or organic meat from now on. I'm like,
That's a big
don't,
commitment.
yeah, I'm like, don't just like say, I'm gonna go all organic. Everything's be organic. Just say, when I eat meat, I want it to be high quality.
Sure. Yeah.
Yeah. Or when or when I, drink milk or something, or it's just one little thing. Or even like the water, like I'm gonna, like a lot of people that I know do spring water, which is a lot better, but there's a lot of people buy bottled water. Like, okay, well, instead of spending a bunch of money on bottled water, including the earth, I'm gonna probably spend 1/10 of that on a water filter that's gonna clean my water. That's one change you can do in your home. Or like I love conditioner bars, and I like hunt conditioner bars down. I like try them all the time. So it's like, oh, I'm gonna not buy plastic bottled shampoo and conditioner. And my partner, he's got curly thick hair, and like we use bars, and people are like, oh, I don't know if it's gonna saturate my hair. And I'm like, you just gotta find the right one. Just one little thing, one little less of plastic.
One
Buy a
little
bowl.
tweak. Yeah, I love it. And then the last petal is relational, which we have been talking about this entire time. It's our relationship
Yeah.
to the earth, the plants and the bugs, relationship to each other. I think that we've covered that.
Yeah.
So to wrap it up, I
Um,
would I want to talk about your water business a little bit, something that really
okay.
excited me because you're talking about like we're talking about elitism and perfectionism
Yeah.
and how like there is this kind of idea, I'd say, among like a lot of people that organic, healthy living is for the rich.
Yeah.
And you have
That's the
this.
scam. It's like keeps people sick.
Right, right. Like I can't afford it. And I even, I fall into that too. Like I don't want to, but like I have that idea that like, oh, like
Yeah.
only rich people can have this
Yeah.
thing, So
It's
um,
classist to believe that health is for the rich only. Maybe we
right,
could flip it right back, right?
right. Oh, absolutely. Yeah. Yeah, so there you go. Like are you really that classist that you don't think that you deserve health?
Yeah, it's like you're being that to yourself. What are the words and languaging you're using around yourself?
I
Like,
love this.
don't get me wrong, like it's I go to like 3 different grocery stores. I know where to buy the cheapest organic best stuff. I buy certain things online from nice like organic, like I get 25-pound bags of oatmeal. And don't be wrong, it's that initial investment, but that 25-pound bag of oatmeal, black beans, pinto beans, freaking garbanzo beans last me more than a year. Like they last a long time. So it's just like coming up with that initial like and then you're paying far less than you would over that period of time. And so
Mhm.
here's a concept that is used in sales a lot, and it really has changed my life. It's you could say it either way, but this is the way I like to say it. It's the price you're going to pay now versus the cost of a lifetime. So you could pay a really cheap price for like highly processed, not safe at all foods. And potentially you'll make it through life with no health issues, or your children will, or you could pay a cost of a lifetime of medical bills, health issues, whatever comes up. You can pay the initial upfront cost of getting a filter, that the filter cartridge is going to cost you far less than what you are paying to refill water bottles, get spring delivered service, or buy bottled waters. And it's going to cost you far less. It is going to be way healthier for you. Clean water, better for the environment. There's the cost of it now or the price of a lifetime. So it's like zoom out and see where you can make these 1% improvements. It's like, okay, how can we change here? And I've just gotten really good at figuring out how I can feed my family and myself decent food. So it's a skill, and it takes that emotional desire to lead you, because it's not something that just comes naturally. It's far much easier to just go and grab whatever. So I really go in with like, are you a victim of the system, or are you a victor of the system? And I don't like just like, that's it, end of the story, done. It's like, okay, so you choose what you are, and then okay, let's go. Like, this is what I do. I help people figure out how they can fucking thrive on a budget instead of just surviving. Like, how can we make these transitions? How can we actually save money, eat healthier, drink healthier, and like be more thriving? So it's not just surviving anymore. But that comes with the emotional, the mental, and the physical drive to be like, I want this for myself. I am the victor of my life. I'm going to figure out how this comes. Because when I briefly talked about you, there are situations where people are really hurt, really disabled, can't, do things for themselves, are incredibly low income. And there's people that actually live in food forest where there's not a grocery store within 30 miles of them, but only there's a ton of convenience stores and McDonald's.
Food desert.
Food desert. You said food forest. Food desert. Thank you.
Opposite.
The food desert. Okay. When I lived down in California, I drove through a food desert. And I was like, what the heck is going on here? So there are situations. But the vast majority of people around here, especially I'm looking around in my neighborhood right now, they have an opportunity. They have an opportunity to work. They have an opportunity to choose to be a victim or a victor of their life. They have an opportunity to choose what they buy in the grocery store, and what kind of food they eat. And so really saying that organic or regenerative or clean water, which is a birthright and your sovereignty and as a living being, as classist, is the programming that you have been programmed into by the deep media that are feeding you highly processed cornflakes and telling you that they have vitamin D or something in them. So it's like, what's really going on here? Follow the money. And that's like, this is for a specific type of person, and it takes these seeds being planted for it to sprout. And so that's why I'm like, okay, well, we're going to educate and we're going to talk and we're going to connect, because these are how seeds are planted. It may not hit now. It may hit for 5 years from now. It may hit a few months from now. It may never hit, but it's worthwhile for me because of my drive, what gives me fulfillment to plant the seeds everywhere I go. And so it's like, why don't we just gather the people that are ready to be victors of their life and throw some punches at it and get going, give it a shot.
That's beautiful. I love it. Okay.
You knock it before you try it. I mean, come on.
Right. No, I love that. I love that. Like, are you the victim or are you the victor?
Yeah.
And accepting that clean food and water is a birthright. That, like, I was born on this planet. I have a birthright to this, and I will find this for myself.
Yeah.
And in doing so, enable many more people to have access to this.
Have you heard of Moms Across America? There's really like women marching across America, like protesting for clean food and clean water, and like some like people are waking up. So you can either join the party or sit at home. It's cool.
I haven't heard about that, but that sounds amazing. Okay, now moving on. So
Yeah.
you have a water business, and I'm going to let you talk more about it. But first, just to build a bridge from, yeah, there it is. You're like, here's my magic bottle. Feels good. Goes down easy. Okay.
Yep.
So speaking of this, like, elitist victim programming,
Yeah.
I heard about this filtration system. I heard how much it cost.
Yeah.
And I thought, like,
Mm-hmm.
who could buy this?
Mm-hmm.
That was my first initial thought.
Yeah.
And then when we talked about it more, and it's like, yeah, I get it. Like, people, deserve clean, healing waters, like 100%. And talking to you more, you divulged to me, well, I am really into water shares, and that is something that I am trying to spread. So there's this amazing filtration system that you are selling, and it's not necessarily just for individual homes.
Yeah.
It's for communities,
businesses, hospitals, restaurants, cafes. like full send.
And
Everybody needs clean water.
when I think of it in in this sort of term, like, no, it's not just the individual. It's like, put it in the center of communities.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yes, please tell us more about what this water system is and how it is being made available to the disenfranchised, even like how it can be so easy to get this into people's hands.
Yeah. So I want to first start about like water, just water in general, because we could probably just add that on top of the agriculture, the schooling, the medical, the industrial, the textile, and then the water industry. So $300 billion scam industry is bottled water. So a lot of water that you're buying, if it's bottled, is purified water, quote unquote reverse osmosis water. There's plenty of research on reverse osmosis water. It is a great effective filter, but there's plenty of research on it leaching minerals from your body literally, and over long term can make you really sick. People are remineralizing it, but my question is like, are these minerals actually doing their job? Like, how do you know you're getting the dosage? Are they synthetic minerals? Are they real minerals? Like, how are they being absorbed? Like, cost, all sorts of like things to evaluate there. So any bottled water, generally, even when you go to the water fill stations, a lot of water stores, a lot of the dispensers are reverse osmosis water, which is crazy. And then we have bottled water, which bottled water is, even if it says spring, it's not necessarily spring water. So bottled water is not regulated by the FDA. It is highly, highly unregulated and untested. There is multiple counts of things of like cases of big water bottle companies being sued for like claiming something and it not even actually being bottled there. I mean, like Crystal Geyser used to be like my go-to water to drink. I just found out like they have all these crazy lawsuits, and I'm like looking into it. I'm like, Crystal Geyser is actually like, I was like, oh yeah, Mount Shasta water, Crystal Geyser, like these are headquarters. It's actually like bottled in like 7 different locations in the United States, and some of them are in springs from mountains. So it's like, what is actually going in here? And obviously plastic, that's a huge for our bodies and for the earth. Like, okay, and cost, it's not cheap. What I use, I have 2 systems, right? So I have a filter and then I have an electrolysis machine. What you were speaking about me getting this water to people, is the electrolysis machine. But I have to have the filter with the electrolysis machine. It's because I'm not gonna do electrolysis to dirty water. So the filter I use is a solid carbon block filter. And solid carbon block is the way it's compacted, and the actual carbon it's used is really, really amazing at absorbing a lot of nasty stuff. Typically, everything that we see in our tap water is going to be chlorine or disinfectant byproducts from them using chlorine, because when chlorine interacts with organic volatile compounds, it creates all these weird disinfectant byproducts. Agriculture runoff, like nitrates, stuff like that, or any type of heavy metals. In industrial town Tacoma, we're known for our lead. So those things like that. So the solid carbon block filter I use filters all this bull crap out. And the reason I chose this filter, I particularly don't like greenwashing, saying something's good for you when it's not. The filter that I use, the solid carbon block filter, is out of the 20,000 different filters on the market, has the highest certifications through this company called NSF. It's a National Sanitation Foundation. They're a third-party organization that certifies all sorts of things, from like airplane wings to like crazy technology. They are just like, they do it. So this filter I use holds the highest standards with them out of any filter on the market. And they're a rigorous certifying body. They cost a lot of money to certify through them. You constantly have to recertify if you make even the tiniest change, and you're constantly recertifying, getting checked up on regularly. So solid carbon block filter is what you're looking for. When you're looking for a filter, you want a solid carbon block. It really depends on what the carbon is made out of and how it's compacted. So I'm not going to go too deep into that, but that's really the general idea. And
Okay, so it's a very, very, very effective carbon filter that you sell.
Okay, so now we're going to talk about the electrolysis machine. This is when you have clean water and you're ready to upgrade it to therapeutic water. So there's a lot of suppressed technology, and again, this comes to deep like programming of like the powers that be and whatnot. There is a thing such as negative charged, like it actually has a negative voltage, hydrogen-rich water that comes from the earth. Okay, and this comes in the 5 blue zones in the world. Is this water pours out of the earth naturally. It's a negative charge when you test it. You have a like a electricity ORP meter, you test it, it's a negative charge, and it's just bubbling with hydrogen. And so hydrogen is super therapeutic to our body, and Western medicine knows this. I mean, they use it intravenously, they inhale it. It's just now coming out about drinking it. So there's many different ways to get it. A lot of people use hydrogen bottles. I'm not really into those. A lot of people use like hydrogen tablets, which are great. It's just a continual cost, again, wrapped in plastic. So the hydrogen, what it does is it scavenges what we call oxidative species in our body, ROS. And so oxidation is a natural process that happens. It's like when you cut an apple and it turns brown, that's oxidation. As we age, we oxidize. That's just what happens. So when you're drinking this antioxidant rich water, you're helping combat that oxidation. But what they're finding, which I find really interesting about hydrogen, part of the reason why I love drinking it, is that once you drink it, your body like kind of absorbs what it can, right? And then it's kind of just like gone because it's the smallest molecule in the world and it permeates through everything. It permeates your blood-brain barrier, permeates everywhere. Is that just that boost of you drinking it fires on your immune system like crazy. And it's signaling these certain immune system pathways to start go scavenging oxidative cells that could be cancerous, that could be, fusing gut issues, all sorts of autoimmune disorder issues. Like it goes in there and it promotes your body to perform homeostasis. So it's not necessarily like the hydrogen that's doing the healing that your body is craving. It's igniting your pathways to perform homeostasis. Because
define homeostasis.
Homeostasis is when your body heals itself. When you have a cut and it heals, when you have inflammation and you get healed, it's your body's ability to heal itself. Because you can heal yourself from crazy things if you're supported properly with food and water. So like the medicine is not outside of us. It doesn't matter how much superfoods or detox things we take. We need to be eating and drinking clean, living, charged, nutrient dense food and water. So the hydrogen does that. And that, when it fires up our immune system, it promotes us to detox. And so like our organs, like our liver and kidney, they're supposed to be absorbing nutrients and getting rid of the nasty stuff. And so when I was raised eating crap food. So when I have these things, like my body is getting the aid and helping detox, and it's helping me digest and extract more nutrients when I'm hydrated with this water, because it's kickstarting my cells, it's kickstarting my organs, it's giving me that extra boost. So that's the hydrogen. I could go on about hydrogen forever. It's super therapeutic. There's tons of ways to get it into your body. The negative charge is a bit of suppressed information that your body absorbs negative charged water more bioavailable. It's more bioavailable to your body. So you have these things called aquaporins that are proteins that are responsible for transporting water to your cells. And your aquaporins are positive charged and they're attracted to negative charged water. And so they hydrate your cells more functionally. And your cells, the mitochondria of your cells, are powered off of water and energy. So you're putting a negative charged, hydrogen-rich water into your cells to help the performance of them. And so there's a point of like being hydrated where you're not feeling like slushy and sluggish. Like for me, all I can share really is like my testimony, and there's thousands of testimonies. My testimony is like when I would menstruate, I would get horrible cramps and back pain, like leading up to it and the first 3 days. Now when I drink this water, I don't get them. But if I start to get them, I know I haven't drank enough water, and I start chugging my water and they go away. And I used to always get really bad headaches from menstruating, and I chug this water and it goes away. My body's trying to shed, it's trying to release, it's trying to let go. And it needs that support, it needs that hydration to just like fluidly shed. It's shedding internal organs, like layers that it built up of nutrients. My dad particularly, he does his best to eat well, but that's not his main focus in life. He travels a lot. He leaves and he's like, Torn, I'm so thirsty. Like, I need to come home and have water. Like, I need the water. I'm like, we're talking IBS, gut issues. The thing is to have the system set up in cafes, in a yoga studio, in a restaurant where people can come fill up in a water membership. And so our company, our CEO, he's like, you can't sell the water. He's like, you can sell the machines, but you cannot sell this water. This water is free, and the mission is to get it into everybody's hands. And so we have a global map of people that have these machines that are willing and open to sharing water. And I've set up multiple like successful water shares where people are like consistently showing up to this person's house, filling a jug or doing a jug exchange on the porch. So the way that to get it into community is either through water shares or through businesses. And so businesses can do a water membership, since we're technically not allowed to sell the water, and we're gonna, this applies to the business. Like, we need to make this valuable for the business to have. It's their business, and so they can do a water membership that they charge for monthly, quarterly, whatever they want to do. It just has to be that verbiage in that way. You're not selling by the gallon. People are allowed to fill up, and so with the water, you only really want to take what you can drink in 3 days because hydrogen dissipates. It doesn't stay in the water. It's volatile, so it's really potent for 3 days, and then it's just clean water. So water memberships is up to the business how they want to run it. We have multiple businesses that run it their own unique way, which is really cool to see. And that way people can come fill up. I know out of Maui, they do $20 a month membership, and you just come fill up as much as you need, because the overhead is really not that much for us. It's like we have filter. So for a business to make this profitable for them, if it seems like a thing for them, they can buy one and make commissions off of selling them to these people. They can also sell water bottles. They can use it to clean their whole restaurant. There's this their whole business. There's a restaurant up here in Lake Bellevue, I think there's a couple of them that use these machines to sanitize their whole restaurant. They're not buying industrial sanitizer. And it's certain states have the 2.5 hypochlorous acid certified as a food safe, non-toxic sanitizer that restaurants can use, food processing
Okay,
can
I
use,
was gonna
farmers can use.
ask, like, is the regulation, is that in compliance with like
Yeah.
food
Yeah.
handlers
Yep.
permits and everything? That's
2.5 hypochlorous
awesome.
acid, good to go. It's all legitimate. And so my girlfriend in North Carolina, it wasn't. And she went and she talked to the Congress and people there, whatever it was, like the government officials of her state, and got it certified for her state. So it really was, she was like, it was a long process, but it wasn't hard, you know? So we're lucky in here for Washington for it to already be done. Because like I said, float places and dentists and hospitals use 2.5. They use a 2.5 hypochlorous acid. It's already out there. And like, to put it this way, like, once you drink this water, you don't really go back. That's kind of why I got an extra system, because people experience it, and I do like 21-day trial periods, sometimes longer, and they drink it and they're like, oh, I actually know what it feels like to be hydrated. It's indescribable how the food that we put in our body and the type of water that we put in our body affects how we feel. And once you get that value, you can't put a metric on that. It's like it's invaluable, let alone not having to buy plastic bottled water, sanitizer, all sorts of stuff for a long time. I mean, for a long time. It's a 50-year-old
So,
company. It's like, come
so
on.
what is it called? Because
Yeah, yeah,
and
yeah.
how do people like figure out how to find it or find you,
Yeah.
just to try it? How could I find a water share?
Yeah. So I'm with Enagic. Enagic is the water ionizer, and then Multi-Pure is the water filter. You can go into Multi-Pure and buy a filter by yourself, but if you want to support me and you want a discount, then you can get in contact with me. I'm on Facebook, just Taurin McBride. And then I'm also on Instagram. I'm as the Mystic Water Mama. That's me on Instagram. Those are just my ways. That's primarily where I do a lot of my advertising and connecting with local businesses. I mean, you can go troll my stuff. I have so many like live demonstrations on like what ORP is, what pH is, hydrogen, what type of filters are good. I have been getting like really deep into what I would call like the 5 petals and self-development, because I've been taking on some mentorship that's really like flourishing aspects of me that I love and like coaching. So, but please skim through and find lots of good water value in there. So just Facebook and Instagram. Yeah.
That's so great. Well, thank you so much for being on here and talking about your passion.
Yeah.
Yeah, I just, the world needs aliveness. It's such a
Yeah.
critical point for us to take a stand. I just interviewed this woman yesterday. She's
Yeah.
a healer, and she talks about like the biggest contagion of all is hurt.
Yeah.
People hurt people,
Yeah.
hurt soil hurts people,
Mm-hmm.
and it's the most like generous thing you can do to say it stops with me.
Yeah.
I'm going to filter this.
Yep.
And I am going to give something better than what I got.
Yep. It's not easy, and don't aim for perfection. It'll make you want to give up and explode and lash out at people. It's exactly what happened to me. So I'm like, one step at a time, one little bit at a time, because it's not easy. One of my mentors says, which always hits me really hard, is like, there's a war on happy people, there's a war on healthy people. So take it easy and enjoy the ride.
Thanks for listening. If this spoke to you, give it a like, subscribe, and share it with a friend. To discover which of the 5 petals is asking for your care right now, take the free 5 petals assessment at bridgetburcano.com/self-assessment. In closing, I'll leave you with a favorite phrase I learned in Circle. What's mine is mine, what's yours is yours, and what's ours is ours. Until next time, be well.